Good morning, students. I welcome you all in your social science class. I hope you all are well at your places. Students, before starting the chapter 2 of this book, Democratic Politics, I want to make some important things clear to you. Students, there are total 8 chapters in this book. But all chapters are not to be assessed in board examination. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, 4, 6, and 7. Only these 5 chapters are to be assessed in board examination. I am repeating, Chapter 1, 2, 4, 6, and 7 are to be assessed in board examination. Means the questions related to these chapters will be asked in board examination. And chapter 3, 5, and 8. These are to be assessed in periodic tests only. Means the questions related to these chapters 3, 5, and 8 will be asked in internal examination only. Keep this in your mind. Now let's begin. Chapter 2, that is federalism. Students, in previous chapter you have noted that in modern democracies power is shared in different forms like horizontal power sharing, wherein power is shared between the various organs of the government such as legislature, executive, and judiciary. Vertical power sharing, wherein power is shared between different levels of government. So, in this chapter, we will focus on the vertical power sharing, and it is most commonly referred as federalism. What is federalism? Federalism is a system of government in which power is shared or power is divided between central authority and various constituent units of the country. Means in federalism, power is shared, it is divided between a central authority and the various constituent units. For example, in India, power is shared between the union government and the state governments. Usually, federalism has Usually, federalism has two levels of government. One is the government that works for the entire country. For example, the Union Government of India works for the entire country. It is responsible for a few subjects that are of common national interest. On other are the governments at the levels of provinces or at the levels of states that look after the day to day administration of the state. These governments maintain law and order in their respective states. Both these levels of government enjoy their powers independently. In this way, federations are opposite to unitary government. Under unitary system, either there is only one level of government or subunits are subordinate to the central government. Means subunits work under the central government. Here, central government can pass on order to the provincial or local governments, whereas in federal system, central government cannot order to the state governments to do so. In federation, state government has powers of its own. for which it is not answerable to the central government. Both governments are separately answerable to the people. Let's compare federation and unitary governments with the help of a table. This table is showing difference between federal and unitary government. In federal government, there are two or more levels of government, whereas in unitary government, there is only one level of government. In case there are subunits, they are subordinate to the central government. Second, in federal system, the central government cannot order state governments to do something, whereas the central government in unitary government, the central government can pass on orders to the provincial or the local governments. Third, in federal government system, state governments has its own powers for which it is not answerable to the central government, whereas in unitary system, the national government has all the powers. Now let's discuss some basic features of federalism. First, there are two or more levels of government. For example, in India, we have three-tier system, means we have three levels of government, such as union government, state government, and local government. Similarly, in United States of America, there are also three separate levels of government: the federal government, the state governments, and the local governments. Second is, different levels of government govern the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in the matters of legislation, taxation, and administration. Students, jurisdiction means the area over which someone has legal authority in terms of geographical boundaries or in terms of certain kinds of subjects. The main point to be noted is that the different levels of government govern the same citizens. For example, we are citizens of Ghumarmi. We fall under the area of Municipal Council of Ghumarmi. We follow the rules of Municipal Council. We pay taxes to it. If I want to build my house in Ghumarmi, I have to take approval from the Municipal Council and follow the rules and guidelines set by it. Similarly, we are also citizens of Himachal Pradesh. Means we live in Himachal Pradesh. We follow the rules of the government of Himachal Pradesh. Thirdly, we live in India. We are governed by the government of India. In this way, same citizens are governed by different levels of government. Means we the people of Ghumarmi, we follow the rules of the three levels of government of our country. We follow the rules of Municipal Council of Ghumarmi. We follow the rules of state government of our Himachal Pradesh, and we also follow the rules of Indian government. Third point is, jurisdictions of each level of government are specified in Constitution. For example, Indian Constitution has clearly distributed the legislative powers between the union government and the state governments in three main lists, namely union list, state list, and concurrent list. So, the existence and authority of each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. Next point is the fundamental or basic provisions of the Constitution can't be changed unilaterally by the level of government, by one level of government. One level of government cannot change the fundamental provisions of the Constitution. Such changes require the approval of both the levels of government. As you have read in class 8 that the basic provisions of Indian Constitution can be amended if the amendment bill is passed by a special majority in the both houses of parliament and ratified by the half of the state legislatures. So, the fundamental or basic provisions of the Constitution cannot be changed unilaterally by one level of government. Next point is, next feature of federal government is, in federal system, the courts are the final interpreter of the Constitution and the powers of different levels of government. Means in federal system, the courts are the final interpreters of the Constitution as well as the powers of different levels of the government. For example, in our country, when Supreme Court finds that any law passed by the Union legislature conflicts with the Constitution and it finds that law unconstitutional, the Supreme Court declares that law void. Any law declared unconstitutional or void immediately ceases to remain in force, means it could no longer exist. In this way, the highest court acts as an umpire. If dispute arises between different levels of governments in exercise of their powers. Next point is sources of revenue. The sources of revenue for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. For example, in our country, income tax, service tax are collected by the union government. Only union government have right to collect income tax as well as service tax. Value added tax, toll tax, land revenue and stamp duty are collected by the state governments. And house tax, garbage collection tax, slaughter tax from butchers are collected by the local governments. Only local governments has right to collect house tax, garbage collection tax, slaughter tax, etc. Next point is the federal system has dual objectives. First objective is to safeguard and promote unity of the country, and second objective is to accommodate regional diversities. The governments at different levels should agree to same rules of power sharing. The government should agree to some rules of power sharing. It is required. They should also trust each other. An ideal federal system has both aspects. First, mutual trust, and second, agreement to live together. Next is exact balance of power between central and state governments varies from one federation to another. There are different types of federations and the balance of power differs from one federation to another. The balance depends upon mainly on historical context in which federation was formed. Mainly, there are two types of federations. One is coming together federation and second one is holding together federation. In coming together federations, independent states come together and they form a union. Okay? For example, in USA, different independent states, they came together and they formed their union, United States of America. There are some examples of coming together federations: United States of America, Switzerland, and Australia. There are in this type of federation, independent states come together to form a bigger unit. It is called coming together federation. Why different independent states come together to form a bigger unit? Because they want to strengthen their country's resources by combining them with those of the partner countries. At the same time, they also want to retain their identity as an independent state so that they can increase the security. In this type of federation, all constituent states usually have equal powers and the states are strong as compared to federal government. And another type of federation is holding together federation. And in this type of federation, a large country decides to divide its powers between the constituent states and the national government. Examples of holding together federation are Belgium, India, and Spain. In holding together federation, central tends to be more powerful as compared to state, and some units or some states enjoy special powers as compared to other states, means they enjoy unequal powers. Let's discuss the difference between these two types of federations. Coming together federation, here independent states come together on their own to form a big unit, to form a bigger unit. Whereas in holding together federation, large country decides to divide powers between constitutional units and center. In coming together federation, they form federation to increase security by pooling sovereignty and retaining identity. On other hand, in holding together federation, center is more powerful as compared to states. Next, in coming together federation, all constituent states have equal powers. Whereas in holding together federation, constituent units of federation have unequal power. Means some states has more power and other has less. Examples of coming together federation are USA, Switzerland and Australia. Examples of holding together federation are India, Spain and Belgium. Students, that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.